Hell, I've fallen in love with my late husband's best friend. What do I do? Real posts, real problems, real talk. It's tea time, so grab your favorite cup of tea or whatever you like to sip and let's spill it and clean it up. Let's go. What's up? I am Tonya. Make sure you got your little tea. I got my little tea. I'm all cozied up and ready to discuss and clean it up. Let's not hold off anymore. Let's hop on into this post. All right, so 28-year-old female, lost my husband, 32-year-old male, to suicide. He left behind me and, at the time, 14-month-old daughter. It was very unexpected with no history of mental health or anything. It was traumatic to say the least. Yeah, I bet it was. I've been seeing a therapist since it happened, and although I know the grief will always be there, it's not nearly as heavy anymore. Let me just say, shout out to you for seeking therapy and actually getting it to help you with that grief because I do know that you really, really needed that. And I'm super proud of you for taking that step. So let's read on. I feel as if I'm in a pretty good place with it mentally. He made the choice. He did, and I don't deserve to live the rest of my life suffering from his decision. Absolutely. Let's read on. My late husband had a very close knit group of friends that grew up together. Okay, we'd all hang out often, go on trips, etc. Since his passing, they've been very supportive, and I actually think we're even closer now in our shared grief. One of these friends, a 31-year-old male, okay, is not married and doesn't have kids, so he's been more available to help out with things. As time's gone on, we've grown pretty close and text daily. He's funny and kind and makes me smile. Okay, so right off the gate, reading that, I see that okay, he's the single guy out the group, and he's helping out a lot more. Okay, so you are vulnerable in this state right now, and for your husband's late friend to actually be really supportive is one thing, but you got to also realize at that moment you're in a vulnerable state. So being around another man, who's helping and who's funny, can be, you might just be going off your feelings right now. And he could also have a hidden agenda. He could have liked you before your husband's passing. But anyway, yeah, you have to be very careful while you're going through this grief on who you lean on and fall in love with, because it's very easy to fall in love with a funny man or somebody who's helping you out a lot. You tend to really gravitate to that person. So yeah, that part. Let's continue. Him and my LH, which is late husband, I'ma say, had a lot in common in terms of interests, but they're also very different personality wise. He brings a sense of calm and understanding that I never really felt with my LH, late husband. Before he passed, my LH would always say, "This friend needs to find a girl and get married because he'd be a great dad." I think we both had some feelings for each other for a while now, but have danced around the subject. He finally just came out and said it the other day and asked if I felt it too. We talk about it and both really enjoy each other, but are afraid of how it may look. Okay? Neither of us want to rush into anything, but we both see potential for a future. I want to give our daughter a father figure one day and some siblings, and I know the older she gets, the harder it will be to introduce someone. The idea of trusting anyone with her is hard, and I trust him fully. Beyond that, we can talk about my LH without it being awkward or upsetting, and he understands my emotions because he's grieving too. Okay, yeah, again, um, of course your daughter knows him and she feels comfortable with him because he's been around. You're still at this point, you're still in a vulnerable state. So be careful. He's also vulnerable because he's grieving too. But again, he's a man. So, and that was his friend. So your loss is, it's a lot more personal for you. He's a man who's not in a relationship, doesn't have any kids, and he sees the way you handle things, how you've been in your relationship with your LH. So he probably pretty much already know who you are as a person, because he could have been looking at you in that way anyway, just didn't want to say nothing to you, out of respect for his friend, which is your LH. So let's continue to read. These are my opinions. What y'all think? Be sure to put your opinions, add your opinions, because they matter. Okay, in the comment section. So let's continue. I personally feel like, as much as I love my LH, he made that decision to leave, and I have to move forward and find happiness again for myself and my daughter. I agree that you need to move on as well, and find happiness for yourself and your daughter. That is very well said. But with that said, I don't feel like you should move on with this man. I just think that you should move on with your life for you and your daughter. Just continue to grow within yourself for you and your daughter, and whatever happens outside of the friend zone, your husband's late friend, or whatever happens. I feel like you kind of shorten yourself because you hadn't really given yourself time enough to get out and meet somebody else. The your husband's late friend, your late husband's friend, is just the one who was around to kind of clean things up, help you out, talk to you. I'm sure if you had any man like that you had some kind of attraction to doing it, you would feel something for him at your time of grief. Okay, so yeah, I definitely applaud you for wanting to move forward and find happiness again for yourself and your daughter. Yeah, your late husband did make that decision. I'm not sure what was going on, what would make somebody do that. I'm not sure the full situation, but again, in my opinion, and I'm entitled to my opinion, you guys. This is my opinion. I feel like you should move on, elsewhere. All right, so let's finish. We connect on so many levels, and I already trust him. I also love that he has memories of him that he can share with our daughter, which is true. But it doesn't mean that you have to be in a relationship with him. Y'all can, remain friends. I would say not, so close of friends right now because y'all had that little connection. I'm gonna say trauma bond. Y'all trauma bonded, so yeah, he can still come around, but I would just give it some time. All right. That being said, we both feel a little guilty for feeling this way. Our biggest setback is worrying about others' reactions, particularly his other friends and my in laws. I know this doesn't look great from an outsider's perspective. How should we proceed? And again, these are my opinions, but as far as proceeding, I can't say it enough. I feel like it's just a trauma bond. I feel like you should move on outside of him. And when I say that, it's just like, just go work on yourself for you and your daughter and see what's out there. You're not really looking for a relationship. You just, you know, looking to better yourself for you and your daughter. Okay. And what happens, happens. That's how I feel. Again, I wouldn't really worry about other people's reactions. If it's a thing that you're going to do, then you can't worry about how other people feel about the choices that you made. You can't you can't worry about other people because at the end of the day it's gonna be your life for you to live. And these people, you know, they're not living your life pretty much. So their opinion don't really matter. All right. So sometimes it's damn if you do and damn if you don't. So if you're gonna make the decision to proceed with this man, then you got to be fully in. And neither one of y'all can care about how anybody else feels. Let's move along and look at some of these comments. All right. So, comment number one, have you done any grief therapy? It helps. That said, feel your feelings. Don't worry about anyone else, what anyone else thinks but your child. This won't affect her tremendously. This will affect her tremendously. How does she feel about him? Well, she was really young, so I'm sure she don't have any feelings. She's really young, but anyway, I have is what she says. I have been doing going to therapists. What she also said in the post, which I compliment on her, congratulate her on. She's been going regularly since 2 weeks out. And again, the daughter's only two. She liked pretty much everyone, including him. Ha ha. Okay, comment two. Can I ask you and the friend? Can I ask if you and a friend had a connection at all before your husband passed? No judgment, just wondering how things like this happen. I don't know why you feel guilty about this. It's kind of sweet. Mm-mm. She probably feel guilty because it's her late husband's friend. So that guilt would be there. I don't think he would really want her to move on if something happened to him or their relationship if he was alive and the friend came to console us, kind of like to me still the same. Like if they, let's say he cheated on her, the relationship was coming to an end, so the a marriage ending in divorce is like a death. So if he was alive, I'm sure he wouldn't want her to go with his friend. So no, that's why she feel guilty. Let's see. All right, so she said, not sure what you mean by connection. Of all his friends, he was probably one of the one I always related to most. But I was happily married and didn't think of him as anything other than his friend. Okay, that's how she felt. There's no telling how he felt. All right, let's move on. Do you think this would anger or bother your husband? Or do you think he would be happy and relieved that his friend is watching over you now that he can't? I think watching over is an understatement, okay? The friend is doing way more than watching over at this point, if they get into the relationship. So, yeah, I think the husband would be okay with him watching over her and his daughter, but I don't think he would be okay with the friend being in her or in the household or with her in that kind of way. So she responds as, I really don't know. I like to think he would be happy that someone he trusts could potentially help raise his daughter. But also, maybe he hated. I don't know. And unfortunately, he's not here to ask. I still talk to him occasionally when I'm alone and struggling with something at my therapist's suggestion. A few weeks ago, I talked to him about this, and when I got in the car on the way to go see this friend, a song came on the radio with lyrics about the singer wanting his wife to move on if he died. I feel like he heard me, and that was a sign from him, or at least I like to think so. Maybe I'm just going crazy. Uh, I don't think you're going crazy, but what I do think, hold on. But what I do think is that sometimes we want to hear things our way. We want things to go our way. And so a song came on that you heard and you related it to your situation. So you just got to be careful with things like that, because that kind of thing happened. How do y'all feel about that? Let's talk. Put some things in the comment and let me know. Do you think that her late husband actually got this song played or this song played to answer her saying that, yeah, go ahead, I want you to move on with my friend again? Hey, to each his own, but I really feel like if he wanted you to move on, it wouldn't be with his friend. All right, comment on four. Don't feel bad for how you feel and don't worry what people think. You can't help who you fall for. You can't help who you love. You're right. You have to move forward and find happiness. And it sounds like you're doing just that. Wishing you all the happiness. Comments of four. In my opinion, no. She don't need to feel bad again about what people think, period. whether she decide to be with him or not. She right, never care about how people feel about you. They gonna, like I said, damn if you do it, damn if you don't. Nobody, you can never please people to their level anyway. So yeah, I agree. Don't worry about that. However, I do think you can help who you fall in love with. Again, at your low moment, you were grieving. So you trauma bond with this man. What happens when that fades? What happens when that bond fades? You might be out looking for somebody else. So I don't know. Yeah, you do have the right to move forward and find happiness. But in my opinion, it don't need to be done with this friend. Okay. I think that you guys should just stay friends. And but give it some time though, because you have trauma bonded already. So you got feelings for him and he got feelings for you. So I say just give it some time and move on and work on yourself and your daughter. Okay? For you and your daughter. But I do also wish you happiness. All right, so we got an update. He took me out to eat at a nice restaurant this week and we had a great time. He kissed me goodnight and it felt exactly like what my heart needed. Okay, again, going on feelings. It was exactly what her heart needed. Okay. We don't plan to rush things, and my priority is my daughter. Great. Since she's only 2, we plan to just continue like normal with her. She loves having him around to play with, and he loves playing with her. So it's a win win. Absolutely. She's only 2, so she has no opinion. She's going to love anybody that plays with her. She knows him for the 2 years she was here on this earth. So yeah. And she can still have him around, just, you know, to me it seems like you're gonna move forward with him anyway. But in my opinion, if you're moving slow, just make sure that you're getting out, as well while you're working on yourself, not in the house all the time, just waiting to see this man. Make sure that you're out doing things, building yourself up, maybe going back to school or doing something where you can meet new people. Okay, so you're not just in this box with this man, that you trauma bonded with. You're able to, explore the options or what have you. All right, so let's continue. I talked with my sister in law about it first, and she was not surprised nor upset by it. Okay. She said it would be hard no matter who it was, but she thinks it's great that he fits in the family so well. My in laws reacted similarly and just say they ultimately want me to be happy. We haven't talked about it to friends yet, but plan to bring it up slowly. Hmm, get it out there to them friends. Get some opinions, especially if y'all gonna remain friends. Okay, get it on out there. All right, another comment off of the update. Comment on one says, "You have been blessed again with a good man." Again, that's easy for you to say, commenter number one. You don't even know the man. So she knows him on a friendship level. She don't really know him on a husband, wife, or a date or a relationship, long relationship level. So yeah, that's easy to say based off of what you heard. Commented too. There's nothing wrong with it, OP. Go forward. I imagine if there's an afterlife, your LH would be happy that you found someone to fill the void that left. Much more so, someone he trusts to be great to you and your daughter. Don't know about it. Comment 3. I think it's normal to be attracted to a friend of your late husband. They were friends because they had similar interests and traits. You're attracted to those too. He's familiar and comfortable to be around you, know and trust you already. Your child know them, the friend group knows them, and you all fit together. It's easy to fall for someone you already know and care for, and your friend group will accept the relationship. Everyone too will probably be happy with you moving on with someone they know. Well, everybody's entitled to their opinion. But again, let me tell it. I'ma just sip my little tea and take a sip again. And I'ma keep it all the way 100 on my end. again, move on. It was just trauma bonding. Move on, and if later on that thing come back around and it's still there, then maybe. But like I said, be friends. If you can't control yourself enough to be friends with the man, then just shy away from him for a little while. Y'all can still talk or what have you, but work on yourself for you and your daughter. And then what happens in the future happens. But since you guys trauma bonded over the grief of your late husband, which is his friend, I say definitely give it some time, get out there, mingle. I ain't saying like, go clubbing and all that stuff, but have a social life outside of the box of your home, and your old friend group. Go mingle, go have some fun, have a social life, meet some new people, and who knows what can happen. There's a million men out there, a million great men. Not saying that the man that your late husband's friend isn't great, but I just feel like you hadn't given yourself enough time to yourself. All right, so hey, it's been tea time, the first tea time, but definitely not the last. And when Lamont joins, you already know. We're gonna splash a little bit of lemonade on that thing. You know what I'm saying? The L for Lamont is that lemonade splash. And what they call it, on a palm or something. That's my favorite drink anyway. All right, so I'll see you next Wednesday. We'll do this every Wednesday. I'll see you next Wednesday. Make sure you have your favorite cup of tea or your favorite drink and join me, and let's clean up some of this messy relationship situations going on. See you on the next one.